far away, swimming old rugged cross, the endless suffering and that old cross, where the dearest and best for a world
page 77. It's got 7 verses, but I only know 3, so I don't know how many we'll do. Page 77.
Oh,
207.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you just for giving us one more time, dear Heavenly Father, to come out to be able to serve you, dear God. We thank you, dear Heavenly Father, for the good Sunday school service that we had, the spirit that we've already felt, dear Heavenly Father. We thank you for the opportunity just to come out with our brothers and sisters and get fed one more time, dear God. Please bless this offering as we take it up, dear Lord. In Jesus' sweet name we pray. Amen.
Amen. 207.
There's a land that is fairer than day, and by faith we can see it afar. For the Father waits over the way to prepare us a dwelling place there. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. We shall sing on that beautiful shore of the glorious songs of the West, and our spirits shall sorrow no more. Out of sight for the blessings of rest. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. To our bountiful Father above, we will offer our tribute of praise for the glorious gift of His love and the blessings that hallow our name. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore.
Thank God to be in His house this morning. Thankful for the good Sunday school we had, the good spirit we felt, the good spirit of the singing this morning. When I ask if anybody has anything in your heart you need to say to the Lord this morning. Anything at all. Any other song? on your heart this morning? Anything at all? Turn with us, if you would, then, to Isaiah chapter 21. Isaiah chapter 21, we're going to start in the first verse. Don't know how far we'll read, maybe most of the chapter. First verse, the burden of the desert of the sea, as whirlwinds in the south pass through, so it cometh from the desert, from a terrible land. A grievous vision is declared unto me, the treacherous dealer dealeth treacherously, and the spoiler spoileth. Go up, O Elam, besiege, O Media, all the sighing thereof have I made to cease. Therefore are my loins filled with pain, pangs have taken hold upon me, as the pangs of a woman that travaileth. I was bowed down at the hearing of it, I was dismayed at the seeing of it. My heart panted, fearfulness affrighted me, the night of my pleasure hath he turned into fear unto me. Prepare the table, watch in the watchtower, eat, drink, arise ye princes, and anoint the shield. For thus hath the Lord said unto me, Go, set a watchman, let him declare what he seeth. And he saw a chariot with a couple of horsemen, a chariot of asses, and a chariot of camels. And he hearkened diligently with much heed. And he cried, A lion, my Lord, I stand continually upon the watchtower in the daytime, and I am set in my ward whole nights. And behold, here cometh a chariot of men with a couple of horsemen. And he answered and said, Babylon is fallen, and all the graven images of her gods he hath broken unto the ground. O my threshing in the corn of my floor, that which I have heard of the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, have I declared unto you. The burden of Duma. He calleth to me out of Seir, Watchman, what of the night? Watchman, what of the night? The watchman said, The morning cometh, and also the night. If ye will inquire ye, return, come. That's all we're going to read. There's a lot in this chapter, and I really had to dig a lot in this the last few weeks, and there's a lot of names of different cities and nations and different things, and the one that stuck out, though, was that 11th verse, the burden of Duma. And it's funny that Dad mentioned a few things about this, and he probably didn't even realize he did, but talked about Mount Seir, and Mount Seir was where you had mentioned about Ishmael and where a lot of his people and a lot of his lineage came from. But Duma was one of Ishmael's children, one of the ones that were over there. And if you look up Duma's name, it means silence. And I thought, boy, it's interesting that God is giving a charge to watchmen, but he's talking about the burden of the children of Ishmael, the outward man, the flesh, if you'd have it, of the covenant that was made of the flesh. And boy, this flesh wants to keep you silent. And here I am, and I see this, and it says, He calleth to me out of Seir, Watchman, what of the night? Watchman, what of the night? And I look and I hear what the watchman says, and the watchman said, The morning cometh, and also the night. If ye will inquire ye, return, come. And we all have a duty today, and you may think that the watchman is just the preachers, but I want to tell you right now that each and every one of us have been charged with being a watchman for someone in our life. And all of us have a family, and all of us have loved ones, and Steve, all of us have a duty to them, to teach them and to tell them about the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And here we are, and he starts with the first burden, the burden of the desert, of the sea, and he starts to tell about how that he hears that this land is desolate, and that it was a grievous vision, and that the treacherous dealer dealeth treacherously. And who is the treacherous dealer today? It's none other than Satan himself. Why do you think when the watchman that's set up, that looks and he sees, and he says, a lion, that's the first thing that he sees, is a lion. Is that because each and every one of us today that are set up to be
a watchman for our household, or a watchman for our friends, or a watchman for our loved ones. And the first thing that we should see today is that there is a lion that seeketh to be made a devour, and he wants to take your family, he wants to take your home, he wants to take your church. And listen, a watchman, one of the night. Today, Brother Mike, now more than ever, we are living in the evening of time. Night's coming where no man can work. We've wasted a lot of time with doing the things that we want to do. But God said now we should redeem the time because the days are evil. We should be more diligent. We should be more watchful. We should be like the man who, if he knew that the thief was coming, he would stay up all night to wait and watch for that thief. Hey, Jesus is coming like a thief in the night. He's coming back, but he's not coming secretly. He's coming back to take us on home, and he's going to come with clouds, and he's going to come with the trump of the glory of God. And when he does, he's going to call us on home. But when the church is gone, there's no one else going to get saved. He's not coming back to set this thing up here. He's not coming back to give you and this one a second chance. My friend, a watchman, one of the night. When the night comes, where's your loved ones going to be? When the night comes, where's your family going to be? When the night comes, where's that one that God's been pricking on your heart to tell them about Jesus? Where are they going to be? When you see the lion in the distance, when you see him desiring to sift your family as wheat, then it's time to get busy for God. We sing that song today. We'll work until Jesus comes. God didn't put you here and leave you here to be lazy and eat the food at the table and not do work. He said if you're going to go into the harvest, if you want to eat, you're going to have to labor for it. Ezekiel talked in the 33rd chapter of the book of Ezekiel and said that when the watchman's there and he sees the enemy come, if he blow not the trumpet, then the blood of those that die of the enemy, it's on our head as watchmen. But if the watchman blows the trumpet and they don't heed the call, when the sound of war comes and they die, the blood's on their own head. I don't want to be held responsible. God called me to be a watchman, to blow the trumpet of the alarm of war. A watchman, one of the night. A watchman, one of the night. Have you thought about how the enemy's coming? Yeah, I know we're elect, and I know, but like we said this morning in the Sunday school, we don't know who is and who isn't. God didn't tell you to discern who's saved and who's not saved. God told you to blow the trumpet, be a watchman, and he asks, what do you see? The watchman says, a lion. First two words. Doesn't even say, I see a lion. He just says, a lion. If we look with our spiritual eyes out into this world, that should be the only thing that we see, a lion. We get so caught up sometimes, though, about the lion of the enemy of Satan, and we forget that we've got the lion of the tribe of Judah that's already slain that old lion, Satan. I think about John, and it's one of my favorite scriptures, but in the book of Revelation, and he looks, and there he is, and they look at the book that's sealed with 7 seals on the back side, and it says that they searched heaven and searched earth, and none was worthy and found to open the book. And John began to weep, and the angel came, and he said, weep not, for behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, of the Lamb of God, which taketh away the sins of the world. Aren't you glad today that when you think the Lion has got your family down, and the Lion of Satan has got your kids down, and the Lion of Satan seems like tossing you to and fro, desiring to devour you, that all the
Isaiah says here, and God tells him, go to that 5th verse. Prepare the table. Watch in the watchtower. Eat, drink, arise, ye princes, and anoint the shield. There's an order to this. There's an order to things. First he says, prepare the table. You have to have food in order to eat. But I'm glad that in the banqueting house of God, that he brought me in, Brother Mike, and his banner over me was love. He said, stay me with flagons, comfort me with apples, but I am sick of love. He said, take me and put me in the right hand and lay me ahead against thy bosom. Song of Solomon chapter 1. He said that he brought me into that banqueting house. Listen, if you're saved by the grace of God, you can come to the banqueting house of God and you can eat and feast on love. Prepare the table. Then he says, watch in the watchtower. How many of us have not only prepared the table, not just for ourselves, but for our loved ones? And then we watch in the watchtower. We have a duty to be watchmen. This is a call to watchmen. And then he says, eat, drink. You know why he said that? Because you can't show anybody how to get fed if you're not getting fed and if you're not drinking of the goodness of God yourself first. When he said, blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. You've got to get filled up if you want your loved ones to get filled up. You've got to get serious with God if you want your loved ones to get serious with God. You've got to get dedicated back to the Lord. If you want to see them back in the fold, if you want to see them filled up with the Spirit, then you should get filled up with the Spirit. Eat, drink. We got to get our sustenance first. I'm excited for what God's doing here at Gloryland because this is what's happening. We prepared the table. We're watching from the watchtower and we're eating and drinking of the goodness of God. But listen, we got to get ready to get to the next spot, which is arise. And look, he says, ye princes. We're princes. We're made kings and priests. When you're saved, you become royalty of the bloodline of Jesus Christ, the King of all kings, the Lord of all lords. The same blood that's shed on Calvary is the same blood that's flowing in your inward man. Ye princes, arise! And then he says, and anoint the shield. How many of us have anointed the shield? He didn't say, pick up the sword and fight for me. He said, just take that shield and set it right there and pour out the Spirit of God all over it. Why? Because who's your shield today? It's Jesus. David said, he's my shield. He's my buckler. He's my high fortress and my mighty tower. When the enemy roars in like a flood, well, bless God, he'll raise a standard against him. Anoint the shield.
Amen.
Ephesians said, having done all you can to stand, stand. Therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, having on the breastplate of righteousness and the helmet of salvation, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. And he said over there, taking the sword of the Spirit, but above all, take ye the shield of faith, for which you can quench the fiery darts of the wicked one. Hey, after
you arise, after you eat and drink, after you've been in the watchtower, after you've been there preparing the table, just anoint the shield.
Duma, it means silence. It's a child, something that the flesh produces. Silence. When God says speak, we don't speak. When God says testify, we don't testify. When God says, hey, why don't you tell that person about how good service was on Sunday? And Duma says, shut up. That's the flesh. That's a burden. The burden of Duma. We all have the burden of Duma. We all have the burden that tells us that Satan does not want to let God get the glory, that he does not want to see the church prosper. He couldn't keep you from going to a devil's hell, but he's going to try to ruin your testimony. He's going to try to ruin your power with God. Hey, don't let Duma get in the way. We should put away Ishmael. We should put away Duma, and we should follow after the inward man. The inward man is the prince. He's the watchman. He's the one that has to let God prepare the table. He's the one that has to tell you which watchtower to be watching in. He's the one that tells you what to eat and what to drink. But we got to get a desire back for God. We've got to get a desire back to be a watchman again. And not just one that sits there and does the job of a watchman half-heartedly. But be the one that, God, if I even see a bit that looks cross, I'm on guard. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to anoint the shield. God, if I even see my loved ones getting just a little bit away from the shore, then I just run to you, Lord, and say, hey, if you want me to say something, I will. But God, even if it's not me, would you just send your Spirit to draw them back again, to let them know that the food is right here on the shore, that Jesus already has it prepared. He already prepared the table. All they have to do is desire to eat and drink. It's not that they're doing wrong. It's that first and foremost, they've lost their desire. They're starving. They're thirsty. They're the burden of the desert of the sea. As whirlwinds in the south pass through, so it cometh from the desert, from a terrible land. He says, a grievous vision is declared unto me. It should be a grievous vision of where our loved ones have gotten. I'm talking about ones that are saved by the grace of God. Those that have gotten out. Remember, Jesus tells the disciples first, he said, I sent you not unto the Gentiles. He said, first I sent you to the lost sheep of Israel. God at first, sometimes, wants us to go to the lost sheep. He didn't say go to the goats. They're already sheep. But they've gone astray. Sing the song. He left the 99 and he left the one to find. He didn't come to call the righteous to repentance, but the sinners. Those that are not sick, they have no need of a physician. But those that are sick, and this inward man will never get sin sick again, but some have forgotten what it means to follow after the inward man. Mike, which this morning you have to exercise it. Those that we've seen that have gone astray, they need to be reminded. Duma needs to keep silence. But the inward man needs to cry out and say, hey, I've been watching in the watchtower of one of the night. How do you consider the condition of your soul? I thought about the parable of the 10 virgins. There's 5, and they were prepared. They were ready. We don't know when Christ is coming back. I don't know. Only God the Father knows. But I can tell you this, he's coming. There's no doubt in my mind. I love how Peter wrote it. He said, God's not slack concerning his promises, where other men count slackness. You know what he was talking about? He was talking about there's some that say he hasn't come back yet. He's probably not coming back at all. There's a lot of people in the church, Brother Paul, that are living like that. We don't live like it's the last day. We don't live like it's the evening of time. We don't have an urgency that, God, I don't care who it is, but I want to see a few more coming to the fold before you call this thing home. I know they're out there. Just use me, Lord. Here I am. Send me. So you can get Lori, I'll be honest, there is not as many willing vessels as I thought there were. God, you put a desire, you put a willingness on the inside of me, not because of me, but God, I just want to be pleasing unto you. If no one else is willing to go, Brother Mike, I will. I know you will. God, if no one else is willing to go, just like Isaiah, here I am, Lord, send me. Do we have that willingness? Are we willing to get up in the watchtower? Maybe you've sat in the same watchtower for year after year after year, and the only thing you keep seeing is a lion. Watchman, what of the night? Watchman, what of the night? Night's coming. No man's going to be able to work. But the fields are still white and ready to harvest. The harvest is past. The summer has ended. And yet, we're still not saved. There's a lot of loved ones that I have that I know have heard the gospel. I don't know what God's done with their heart. All I know is God told me to just keep giving it out. Keep being a watchman. Keep sounding the trumpet. Keep blowing the alarm. If they listen, there'll be victory in it. If they turn away, there'll be death. God didn't tell me to figure out which one's going where. He just said, son, blow that trumpet. Blow it. Blow it a little louder. Blow it a little harder. Watchman, what of the night? He said, lift your voice like the sound of a trumpet. He told him, have we lifted our voice to the world? Well, the world's going to be the world. They're going to keep going on the way they're going on. Yeah, the world's going to be the world. But the church has quit being the church. We've quit being princes. We've quit anointing the shield. We've quit even eating. God, I'm so thankful I'm filled up as much as I'm filled up. I don't want to ever get back to the spot, Steve, where I feel like I'm starved spiritually. As soon as I even feel like I'm shifting that way, God, give me enough spirit about me to say, God, is it me, or do I need to move on? You know why you're not eating? There's times we're eating because we're not where we need to be, where God wants us to be. I've been there. I've done that. Watchman. What? That's the message. Get a song, Steve. They need to pray. God's charged each and every one of us to be a watchman. It's not just for the preachers. It's not just a call of a deacon. Not just those that are teaching Sunday school. Not just the head of the household. Watchman. That's our duty. That's our work. Blow the trumpet. Have an urgency. The lion's there. We can't slay him. I can't even. Michael, the archangel, was disputing over the bones of Moses. And so he wouldn't bring against himself a railing accusation. He had to call on God. He's a lot more powerful than I am. We can't challenge Satan. We can't. I need God. I need Satan to get behind me so I can go on for the Lord. But it takes me humbling myself. Go ahead.
Page 100. Are you weary? Are you heavy hearted? Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. Are you grieving over joys departed? Tell it to Jesus alone. Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. He is a friend.
say you do for the Lord today?
I want to thank the Lord for the message. Thank you for saying.
God for this. Someone else.
Appreciate your word. Someone else this morning.
You know, Brother Josh, I want to thank the Lord for every message I hear, because each and every message helps me along the way. Because I can kind of see an end for me, because my body just let me down so bad that sometimes I don't even think I even should drive down here and stuff, you know. I can see it coming. The Lord's let me see it. So I just try to take in every message I can. You know.
Someone else this morning. We thank God for His Spirit. Thank Him for allowing us to eat again. Continue going with us. No other heart. Much in prayer about the revival. Much prayer for Brother Kevin. I haven't got a chance to talk to him yet, but I know that he is probably still going to be working that week. He's going to try to get off, but I don't think he's able to get it off. So they'll be doing a lot of driving. So much in prayer for him that week.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be definitely tiring in the flesh, but God quickens the mortal body within there. So definitely remember him during that week. Brother Hart, say the fear of the Lord, you're liberty to go until Wednesday night.